You're listening to Big World Network.
Subprimeval, Episode 11, Floodwaters, Part 1. Written by Robert S. C. Cutler. Read by Ryan Jones. Warning: although there is no material subject matter within that couldn't be found in any general bookstore with no age constraint, this series is rated 18 and contains adult situations and content. Gator leaned against the squad car, rubbing his temples while he explained the events that led up to him firing his gun. He couldn't shake the image of the bizarre creature from his mind, the very same he had seen on the bridge earlier that night. Fearing repercussion, he didn't share his thoughts with his supervisor or Officer Torres, telling them instead that he had happened upon a robbery gone bad and was rushed by the suspect. Residents from the apartment complex were being shooed away by ballistic investigators, examining bullet holes in several cars and the walls of the building. The window of an apartment was shattered, as were the back windows of a minivan and a sedan parked just in front. Both of the vehicles had their tires blown and were leaning to the left. Gator looked up and saw Claire standing with her arms crossed by their apartment door. The look of disappointment on her face after yet another of his failures made his heart sink. He felt as if their marriage was spinning out of control and there was no way to save it. "You're lucky no one was seriously or fatally wounded, Officer Davis," his supervisor said, drawing Gator's attention away from Claire. "You'll need to surrender your weapon." Gator obeyed and handed over his gun. Seeing the exchange, Claire shook her head in disgust and stormed into their apartment. "You won't be in the field for at least 6 weeks, Torres said. "That's what happened to me when I discharged my weapon. Pretty standard." "You shoot someone?" asked Gator. "At someone," Torres corrected. "They had their vehicle aimed right at me and were traveling at a high rate of speed. I fired my gun, missed, and hit an innocent bystander's car instead. No one was hurt, but it seemed like forever before I was taken off desk duty." "I'm no stranger to desk duty," Gator laughed. "Are your clothes dry? I had to borrow some. My uniform is a complete loss." "Always keep a spare in my locker," Torres said. Torres' customary stone-faced expression softened as he looked Gator in the eye. "You might want to talk to a department shrink about what we experienced tonight. I'm seeing one myself." He took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. "What happened on that bridge was—" Torres swallowed hard, tears filling his eyes. "I mean, you'd have to be one callous son of a bitch not to feel anything but pain for that family." "Yeah," Gator nodded, looking off into the distance. Tears had pulled up in his eyes as well. Torres cleared his throat and nodded. Slapping Gator on the back, he climbed into his squad car. "You're free to take the rest of the shift off. And Davis, you're okay in my book. Pretty heroic what you did tonight." A sense of pride Gator hadn't felt since he graduated from the academy stirred deep inside. He was so used to being berated about one thing or another, the compliment felt foreign. Although he knew he would be recognized for helping to save the lone survivor from tonight's horrific attack, the careless discharging of his weapon would most likely eclipse any heroics and land him once again on the lieutenant's list, a place he just couldn't seem to get off of. Freak Show appeared around the side of the apartment building, motioning to Gator. Taken aback, Gator looked around to make sure Freak Show was signaling to him. He looked up at where Claire had been standing, relieved that she had gone inside. Gator didn't know if he could withstand his wife's questions and the guilt trip that would follow, so he opted to see what the kid covered in tattoos wanted. Freak Show was standing next to what appeared to be a small puddle of blood. Without a word, he pointed it out to Gator, along with the several large drops that led to a chain-link fence, separating the back of the apartment complex from the land adjacent to the big ditch. Gator knelt down and touched his finger to the puddle. It was warm and viscous. "What's this? Blood?" "You must have hit that thing," Freak Show said. He removed a fresh cigarette from his pack and offered it to Gator, who politely declined. Freak Show lit up and blew fresh smoke out of his nostrils. A light, steady rain began to fall. Freak Show held his palm up to catch the droplets. "The storm must be here. It's going to wash away all of your evidence." Gator shook his head and laughed, Evidence for what? My imagination gone wild? No way, dude. I saw it too. So did my sister and her boyfriend. My name isn't Dude. It's Gator. Clem. Is Gator because of your teeth? Freak Show examined Gator's protruding lower jaw. Gator shrugged and started walking toward the fence. My name's Devin, but everyone calls me Freak Show. Because of your tattoos? Gator asked in a condescending tone. Nah, a lot of people have tats. I'm into demonology and other weird stuff. I guess I don't exactly fit in. Gator paused. I know what you mean. Are you sure that thing went over the fence? And beyond. They seem to like water, Freak Show said. They? You mean there's more than one? Freak Show took a drag. All those body parts they found in the river couldn't be the work of just one. Besides, I'm pretty sure I know where they live. We can go and check it out right now before the rain gets too heavy again. What Freak Show was saying made sense to Gator. The body parts in the river, homeless people disappearing, the thing on the bridge, and now at the apartment building where he and Claire called home. The news agencies were calling the deaths the work of a possible alligator or crocodile that had been let loose in the rivers. Even his own precinct had a running bet on what kind of animal was responsible, but some sort of monster or strange creature? Gator closed his eyes and breathed out slowly. The ordeals over the last couple of days must have stressed him out more than he'd thought. No, you're not goading me into believing this nonsense. I just need to... Come on, man. We can hop in your car and... We can hop in my car? What's wrong with yours? I don't have enough bank for gas, dude. Freak Show pulled his empty pockets out from his jeans. Not wanting to show this kid that he really was interested in chasing down the creature, Gator brushed the water off of his short hair and laughed. I need to go home and take a shower. As Gator walked away, Freak Show yelled after him. If you change your mind, meet me at my sister's apartment. Just look for the busted up door. After a long, hot shower, Gator emerged from the steam-filled bathroom wearing jeans and a sweatshirt. He sent a glance Claire's way, finding her sitting on the couch with her arms crossed, staring off at nothing. She had ignored Gator when he came up through the front door. She was just shut down the same way she'd been over the past couple of days. As he grabbed his keys off of the dresser, he knocked a small metal plate used to catch loose change on the floor. He held his breath, waiting for a response from Claire. Thinking the coast was clear, Gator put on his jacket and baseball cap and headed for the door. Before he could turn the knob, Claire broke her silence. Is this how it's going to be? We don't talk anymore? I'm sorry. Gator stared at the floor. Claire sat up and cleared her throat. She didn't know whether to feel angry or sad. I'm over here, Clem. Gator looked over at Claire and took a deep breath. He was so emotionally raw, he couldn't keep his voice from cracking. I said I'm sorry. Claire blew her nose and looked Gator in the eye. Do you know how much you've hurt me? Do you know how much I've cried the past few days? I have no trust in you, Clem. I left my home, my family, and my friends to follow you to Kansas for a job that you were sure you would turn into a career. And when that job ended, instead of going back home like we should have, you joined the police academy without even talking to me first. Although that infuriated me more than I let on, I accepted it because I had faith in you when others didn't. And now this. Now tonight. What did you do, Clem? It's not what you might think, okay? I didn't... Claire wiped the tears from her red, swollen eyes. You didn't what? When you do talk to me lately, you never tell me what's really going on. Why even bother? Anger welled deep inside of Gator. He was sick and tired of everybody in his life making him feel worthless. And now the one person he had counted on most had just driven a dagger straight through his heart. People died tonight, Claire, but not by my hand, whatever you might think. I actually got to save a few, and before the night's over, I'm going to save even more. Without another word, Gator walked out into the pouring rain. The rain was coming down so hard, Gator didn't see Freak Show run up to the car at first. The kid had been pretty eager when Gator knocked on the broken-down door earlier. Now, soaking wet and reeking of pot, Freak Show climbed into the passenger seat and slammed the door. Gator glared across the car for being startled, and because of the strong scent emanating from the young man. With the windshield wipers at full speed, the small car drove away from the apartment complex. Take Kellogg to 235 and head north, Freak Show pointed forward. Gator crinkled his nose and glanced over at Freak Show. Why do you smell like marijuana? Because I just smoked a joint. After what we saw tonight, I had to get smoothed out. Gator shook his head in disbelief. You know I could arrest you right now for smoking that stuff. Isn't there something else you could do to so-called smooth out? Can't arrest me over the smell, dude, unless you catch me carrying, which I'm not. And I think we have better things to do than go back to my sister's place for you to search my room. There was no other choice of recreational drug in the apartment at the time. Besides, weed is king in my book. Freak Show sent him a cheesy grin. There'll be no more of that while you're partnering with me. That's if you want to stay out of jail. Partners? Cool. Freak Show nodded in approval. Where are we driving to? Asked Gator. Old Artesian Wells on the north side of the city, right next to that big grain elevator, Freak Show said. Artesian Wells? I didn't know Wichita had any of those. Dried up since the late 1800s, Freak Show said, but with all the extra rain this year, they've started flowing again. 10 minutes down the road, the small Honda crossed over the Little Arkansas River. Gator noticed the water had already risen to just below the bridge. The wind was whipping up a frenzy of whitecaps, and large pieces of debris swirled and bobbed downriver at a fast rate of speed. The heavy rain lately, combined with the downpour tonight and already high tides of the rivers, meant that the last off-ramp they passed was submerged and impassable. Gator wondered if he shouldn't just turn around before the flooding became too widespread. Next off-ramp, Gator, Freak Show said. My name is Clem, and I think we should turn around if we know what's good for us. And miss your opportunity to be a hero? All you have to do is blow one of those things away and plop its bullet-riddled body smack on the front desk of the police department. Freak Show grinned, smacking the top of the dashboard for effect. Better yet, we'll deliver it right over to Heartland News. We'll be on TV for sure. I didn't bring a gun, Gator said calmly. What? You didn't bring a freaking gun? What the hell? I thought you were a cop. I had it taken away from me after tonight's escapades. You don't have a backup in like an ankle holster? That's what the cops do in the movies. Not this cop, Gator shrugged. My wife doesn't like guns, so I don't even own one. Well, genius, what are we going to do if we run into one or more of those things? Freak Show asked. Call somebody and tell them where it is? Out of all the cops in Wichita, I get stuck with the real-life Barney Fife. Oh! Here's the off-ramp! Freak Show shouted, jumping up and down in his seat. Gator swerved onto the off-ramp and through a large body of standing water. His car's electrical power dimmed off and on, while the engine's belts protested getting wet with loud, high-pitched squeals. A small stream had formed and was running across the road at the intersection. Gator splashed through it and turned left toward the grain elevator. Isn't that the same grain elevator where those workers came up missing? Asked Gator. Yup, all they found was blood. I think those things ate them. Freak Show told Gator to pull onto a narrow gravel road just before the entrance to the grain elevator. His car's tires splashed through rain-filled potholes. The rear end fishtailed as it fought to maintain its traction. A sinking feeling filled Gator's gut. He knew he shouldn't have driven off the main road, and now he wasn't sure if he could even turn around. Over there, Freak Show pointed. See the water gushing out? There's a lot more of it now. And why are we here again? Asked Gator. This is where I saw them. They were jumping in and out of that big opening. You saw these things and didn't call the police or let anyone else know? Gator asked, with his eyebrows raised. Well, it was sort of dark and I was a little bit stoned. I couldn't really tell if... Gator shook his head and laughed despairingly. If what? If what you were seeing was real? We just drove all the way out here in a major rainstorm on a hunch that you had while you were wasted. There's no creature and there never was. Freak Show turned and faced Gator with a look of amazement. What do you mean there's no creature? You saw it for yourself, dude, and so did I. My vision was blurry from getting river water in my contacts. I could have shot at a person or even a dog for all I know, Gator said, trying to convince himself more than Freak Show. Wow, I just thought you were a lousy shot. Gator furrowed his brow. Whatever, we're going home. I'm telling you, those things are real. I've seen them before. Not the other day or even tonight, but in literature that I've read. You read? Gator scoffed. Freak Show sat up tall in his seat. Yeah, all the time. I was, ranked academically 5th in my high school. Got to wear the gold gown at graduation and everything. I've seen these things pictured in history books and books of the occult. What we're dealing with is a god-forsaken demon. Oh, come on, Gator laughed. I don't believe any of that hokey-pokey stuff. Freakshow looked astutely out the rain-blurred windshield. Her name is Lamashtu, the most evil demon ever conceived by man. Gator shook his head. Really? This creature that we're out on a snipe hunt for is a female? Freakshow paid no attention to Gator. She infested rivers and streams, killed children, and drank the blood of men while doing a bunch of other nasty stuff. No wonder the Mesopotamians described her as female. You know you'll never get a girlfriend thinking like that, Gator laughed. Freakshow continued to ignore Gator and went on with his story. Like most myths, Lamashtu came from real life. Those creatures probably lived side by side with ancient man, until they were driven to extinction. Decades upon decades of fireside stories later, you have a demon instead of a long-forgotten animal. Very similar to fire-breathing dragons. Are you saying that dragons were really dinosaurs? Asked Gator. No, they were meteorites, Freakshow said. Fed up with Freakshow's nonsensical explanations, Gator put the car in reverse and squinted out the dark and rain-splattered back window. Okay, enough fun for tonight. I can't believe I listened to you and came all the way out here for nothing. I just hope we make it home safely. Instead of moving backward, the car's front tires sank deep into the mud. Gator tried without success to drive forward, causing the car to sink even lower. To make matters worse, the car's engine sputtered to a stop and the electrical system went dead. I think we have a problem, said Freakshow. Gator glared over at his new friend. Yeah, no kidding. I think my car just died. No thanks to you. Freakshow pointed hastily out the passenger window. No, dude, look! Milling out the artesian well were more than a dozen of the creatures. One stood erect, studying the small disabled car. It cooed and chirped, alerting the others to the trespassers. Then it got down on all fours, digging its claws into the sodden ground. As the others turned toward the car, the one on its hind legs leapt forward, sprinting Gator and Freakshow's way.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.
You're listening to Big World Network.